start saying thank you, Kelly, for that encouragement as I'm coming up here and speaking. Meet me at the Fun House at 8 o'clock. Does everyone know what a Fun House is? Mm-hmm. It is a mobile space, usually at a carnival or a state fair, where you walk through a very disorienting space. There may be a hall of mirrors that make you look short and fat, or my favorite, mirrors that make you look tall and skinny. At any rate, we went to the state fair with my new boyfriend and his little brother, and they wanted to ride the roller coaster, which gives me motion sickness. So we agreed to meet later at the Fun House. I made sure to be there 5 minutes early at 8 o'clock, but there was no sign of them. I waited, and I waited longer, and this was way before cell phones existed, so we could not call or text. I was pretty pleased with myself for being early. They finally showed up about 8:45, and it turns out they were waiting at a different fun house, getting very impatient. It turns out there were 2 fun houses at the State Fair. Who knew? Mr. Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guest. That misunderstanding turned out okay. I actually married my boyfriend, Lane, about a year later. But sometimes communication mix-ups don't turn out so well. So it is important to communicate clearly, and it can cause all kinds of relationship problems if we do not. So tonight I want to tell you 3 stories, funny stories to me. Toastmasters teaches that we should know our audience. When I was watching young children, that principle came alive to me in a new way. I was watching a toddler, and he was new to potty training. So one day he ran for the bathroom, and he began peeing on the hallway floor. So I said, in my very kind voice, well, honey, go do that in the bathroom. And he stepped a few feet into the bathroom, and he began peeing on the floor in the bathroom. And it took me a few seconds, and I realized he's doing exactly what I told him to do. So after we finished laughing, and I cleaned up, then I explained to him in words he could understand exactly what to do and to show him. So that story reminds me to not make assumptions and to remember that people cannot read my mind. My second story is about speakers and listeners both having important roles to play in clear communications. When we were first married, my husband and I shared the cooking chores. Lane would not want to cook if he could not find the pots and pans. He is very organized, and at the time I was not. So I started making a consistent effort to put things away in the same place. And I eventually took over all the cooking chores for the most part. But one Sunday he wanted to cook, and he expressed frustration. He could not find the pots and pans. Well, this really stumped me because, well, I've been putting them away in the same place for a few years. So putting things away in the same place means putting them in the cabinet on the same shelf, right? Or does it mean putting the pots together, the pans together, and the covers together? At any rate, we came to a compromise and understanding. But we could have avoided that whole thing. He could have showed me what he wanted to begin with, or I could have asked him to clarify and repeated back to him what I thought. Or we could have organized it together. My third example is about using jargon. And since we have so many people from other countries, in case you don't know what jargon is, let me give you an example. If I asked, I need someone to repair the limited slip differential on my S911, most people, unless you're a car mechanic or a car lover, probably did not understand what I just said. And an S911 is a Porsche, which I do wish I had, but I don't. When I joined Toastmasters in October, I was very excited, and I was telling people, I joined Toastmasters. And when about the third friend said, what is that? I realized. So now I say, I have joined Toastmasters, which is an organization that helps you learn how to do public speaking. So your own funny stories or your mistakes or others' mistakes can actually be learning and growing experiences. And that is, I have a friend who says, if you make a mistake, that is the value of it, that you learn and you grow from it and you move on. So, to review, remember, each speaker in a communication speaker and listener plays an important role. Remember to know your audience and use words everyone will understand. Lane and I have been married for a few decades, and a favorite code phrase we still use with each other is, meet me at the fun house. And we use that when we think the other is being unclear with each other. So, Madam Toastmaster, most welcome guests and fellow Toastmasters, do not meet me at the fun house later. Meet me at 8 p.m. at the Green Fun House at the main entrance, and it is right here on the map.